This podcast is a passion project of mine, something that I've been really excited about for a number of years, just looking for the right opportunity, time, and place to launch it. Interviewing people is one of the most favorite aspects of my job, and this is a place where we can really dive into the intricacies and the craft and the career of influential figures in and around the Hawaii sports community. You love talking about how it was back in the day. You love going down memory lane. This is the place for you. If you want to hear from rising up-and-comers, perhaps we're talking to the next Carissa Moore, the next Max Holloway, the next Tua Tagovailoa, this is the place for you. So I sincerely thank you for joining, and I hope you enjoy. All right, we have liftoff. Welcome to the first ever Long Game podcast, and we are joined by a very special guest, professional veteran MMA fighter Yancy Medeiros, a near 20-year professional career straight out of Makaha. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. We're going to dive right into it. So you grew up in Makaha?
I actually grew up Ewa Beach.
Okay.
I was born for the first 5 years, and then by the time I was 5, the rest was in Makaha.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm always fascinated by kind of like the journey and childhood of professional fighters. Were you a Kolohe kid growing up?
Rascal. I wouldn't say like, I'd say Kolohe, listening to the parents, but not like sneaking out, doing, mischievous things, just in the range of a regular kid, just staying in the bounds. Like I didn't have the audacity to sneak out of the house. My mom was, she was on alert for that kind of stuff. So yeah.
A crowded house? Do you have plenty of siblings?
2 siblings, but we always had friends, family living with us too. So always had a crowded house. Typical Hawaii house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's always like when you talk with fighters, it's a spectrum of like, got into a lot of fights growing up as a kid. Was that the case with you? Or
Never.
was it? No, never really.
Yeah. I mean, I've had school scuffles like in elementary, but never really had a street fight, I'd say. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Like, it's just I was able to observe it and just be like, don't want to do that. Yeah.
So how'd you get into it?
Martial arts has been my longest relationship. I've been doing that. My mom was adamant in putting me in that since I was like 5. My grandmaster, my great uncle Martin Tipio, and yeah, in fact, I live with them now. I've been there for the past 10 years now. I live in a separate apartment, but on their land. But that's how close and connected I am with martial arts, and that's just something I've always wanted to do for myself. So,
what kind of lessons did you pick up very early from being in martial arts at such a young age?
The aggression, I guess. Aggression really didn't show like that you were tough for me, because all the people that I looked up to and like really looked up to, they weren't like punky. They didn't have punky attitudes. They were humble humans. They were very mild, and compared to being in Makaha and just seeing what everything is around, all the people that I looked up to were just super, very, very humble and family men.
So by the time you hit the professional circuit and started, breaking through kind of the ranks in Hawaii, you had already had how many years of martial arts training under your belt?
I'd say I started the MMA circuit at, I would say, about 19, 20. So about 15 years.
Wow.
But I mean, it was just Kaji Kempo. It was more how to prevent you from fighting, and you know what I mean. The most contact fighting we did was like positional grappling and like point sparring. So it wasn't really like boxing or kickboxing, and my mom really didn't put me in sports, so I didn't get to play sports. I had to go to karate. I wrestled in high school, but that was my out because I was like, oh, I don't like go karate Monday and Wednesday. I had to do it every Monday. It was like a religion, right. Like Monday, Wednesday, no ifs, ands, or buts. So and I'm just so glad because I didn't realize that my grandmaster, my uncle, was trying to make me a ninja before I even knew I wanted to be one.
Yeah. It's like the hidden lessons, right?
Yeah,
that you get from the instructors. Like,
yep.
What are you making me do?
The planting seeds. Like, cause he would go to China, Tibet, India, and he would go into the Buddhist temples, and and he would go and come home and he'd teach us all this Hindu breathing and all this yoga, and I'm doing it at 5. Like, why are we like? And then I got all into fighting in MMA, and I'm like maybe in my late 20s now, and I'm all into yoga, and they're like, wow, Yancy, you breathe like so well. You get the breathing down so good. I was like, Yeah, I was doing this for like 15 years, you know, as a kid, not even putting it in like I wanted to do that.
What were some of the benefits of that? You just because it takes you into a different headspace.
I think with they have these new sayings now like shadow work, and I think martial arts gives you that, a lot of that shadow work, thinking about yourself, thinking of how to get better, you know, in that sense. And then martial arts also led me to thinking like it made me a better human outside, you know, like just that's the part that I love martial arts so much, because everybody that I looked up to in my martial arts was all like humble humans.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I just led into that. I'm literally got into UFC after when I was an adult. I wasn't thinking about that stuff when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I was thinking about Ninja Turtles, you know, Dragon Ball Z. It was just not thinking about fighting at all. Like I wanted blood sport, kumite. I wanted to be that, but I was like, oh, I want to get into the UFC and be BJ Penn. None of that. It was just, that's cool.
Yeah.
And just be happy, I guess.
I think that's, you know, why we've always enjoyed talking with you.
Yeah.
You know, you're very successful, but it's also like you bring a great energy and a positivity. And, you know, it's, you know, for someone that is a professional competitor, you know, and is in a violent profession, it's like you don't get that air. You get someone that's very welcoming. And so give us some context. What was it like breaking into the Hawaii circuit? And going through kind of the ranks here at home before you went pro.
I did a little bit of it, like a little bit of garage training with my boy, my boy Chevis. I'm having a bad name with his last name, but that was like how I started this whole MMA thing. And then I was like just doing construction work, painting with my dad. So it's just like construction lifestyle, you know. And then I gained like a lot of weight. Like I was getting a baby at the time, so
this was what, like
19,
tail end, okay,
18,
after high
19.
school.
Yeah,
okay.
Right after that, I just got into construction work every day. And I think I blew up to like 245 pounds, and I was like, yeah, bro, you better do something about this. You're just not happy. So I started like coaching wrestling in Waianae, because that was what I did in high school. And then I just started coaching the kids, and I was doing some lifting weights after wrestling practice, and had Kovika Pa'aluhi. Then he was like, oh, you know, you want to come train in my garage? I was like, yeah, go and do some jiu-jitsu. And I started doing jiu-jitsu, and then maybe about a month in, he's like, you want to fight? I was like, well, if you feel like I can. Because I was like, oh, kumite, right? I was like, well, if you feel like I can, yeah, I'm down. And then I literally like went to my dad. I was like, Dad, I like fight, Dad, you know? And he's like, you sure, boy? Like, you know, he was just like, this is so out of left field. Like, I had this confidence, like, yeah, Dad, I like try, man. Like, you know, and he was just like, this is one serious thing, you know, boy. I was like, yeah, because I wasn't that kid. Like, I wasn't like, you know, like, oh, I like fighting, I'm gonna be this. Yeah. It's just like, even in wrestling, I was super passive. I wasn't this aggressive wrestler, you know. I was just doing it because it was fun for me. Like, and then that whole thing came with fighting, and the amateur circuit came, and I was like, yeah, I want to be the best. You know, 10, 15 years ago, I'm like, I'll do anything right now. Like, yeah, so that's what it led to.
When you first started rolling again, did you find that it was like therapeutic? And it just felt the kind of good, you know, get out of that funk, what you were doing. And,
most definitely. I mean, that was the closest thing I could get to. Jiu-jitsu and rolling in a garage was the closest thing I could get to wrestling. And that type of competitiveness and the grind, right? So that's how it started. And then, and this is naturally just local boy. I just want to swing, So, I mean, that's just left with that. And I was always the not athletic one. I was never getting picked first. In you know what I mean, growing up in the teams like that, I wasn't athletic. I wasn't this athlete that was great and getting picked first, but I always knew what it was to feel like getting picked last or not being the best. But I wasn't a quitter.
Right.
Yeah, I was like, I'll make it to the top of that mountain. I might not make it there with you, but I promise you I will get there. Like, I was always that. So it's just grind. That was my biggest attribute. So I always had a chip on my shoulder when I fought because I was overweight. I didn't have an athletic body, so I would always fight these guys that were just more athletic and bigger, and I was like, oh, that already took me to it, like, bring it, you know. That was the drive. Like, I know I don't look the part.
You start working out again, and how long before it was like, okay, we're gonna start fighting now?
It was literally
like a few months later.
Yeah, I mean, I started working out again. I kind of lost weight coaching during the coaching
Okay.
of helping the coaching of.
Because you were doing
wrestling.
that in high school, coaching.
No, this is after I
okay,
graduated.
okay.
So after I graduated, it got like a year. It took like a year, and then I went
Step back into it. Okay.
Yeah, just to because I was just getting big, you know, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna run to practice and coach the kids and wrestle with them, and I ended up losing weight that way. That's how I met Kavika Palui in the gym, because his son is this all-star athlete, you know, Baba Palui.
Right.
He's super good, and like he was in Waianae at that time, and just seen me in there, and he just asked me if I wanted to train, and he was my first, like, we held it down team with Doug Amaral, and that's how it really started. Hawaii scene came though, and then I think I did maybe 3 professional or fights. After that, I was like, I'm done like fighting Hawaii people. Like, I don't want to fight Hawaii people. I feel like
no kidding.
It's time to represent Hawaii.
Because you were running through guys.
Well, I was
started.
winning. I was winning, and I just was like at a point where I was like, okay, like I tired like fight guys that like I feel like I can do more now. You know, I feel like I belong more. I didn't like want to just keep fighting local brothers. Like,
right.
You know, I just was like, I feel even now it's hard as you get older. Like, it's hard to fight your friends. I'm beyond the sparring. I'm like, me and Max. I'm like, dang, I ain't trying to spar hard and go toe to toe with Max. Like, I'm 30. I'm almost 40 now. You know, like, dang, going like that doesn't prove nothing to me. And Max is, you know, it's just you come to a point where your family, and you ain't trying to beat up your partners. You're trying to grow with your partners. Yeah.
When you hit that point in your early career where you wanted to get away from fighting against local guys, what was that transition to, like, starting to get more fights with, you know, guys that are on the continent? I just
knew I wanted to get into UFC already once, or I just wanted to be in something to where I could represent Hawaii. And as a kid, what is BJ Pandem doing? How are they training? What are these UFC guys doing? Or they're training 5 minutes, not 3 minutes. Like, I just mimicked that, and then I went around that and did what I could and found a team to help mimic what we could. And then I think the leap that made me get into being an athlete in this fight after that was tactical strength and conditioning.
Yeah.
You know, with Darren Yap. Like, that was the missing piece for me, at least, in building the athleticism to be a fighter. Because I had the heart and the grit. And now that I can look back in my
career. And the work ethic.
The work ethic, right? Yeah, but now that I can look back in my career, I'm just like, I just tough. You know, like, I was just tough and gritty, like, you know, in that sense. And I love the fact that I can look back and see those things, but be able to, like, I guess, help my kids and people around me in a way.
What are the strategies that Tactical employed to kind of make you, like, it feels like that's part of the stage in your career where it felt like, okay, now we're getting into this as a career now.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing was the relationship that I built with Darren, and just, like, I like the fact that I guess he'd call it old school, where he just didn't give you praise. And, like, I was running on this woodway, and it's this thing we do our sprints on that, you know, we make sure but first time I'm running on it, and he's just like, bro, my grandma runs faster than you. Like, you know, like, I don't even know him, and he's telling me this, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, this is exactly where I need to be, yeah. You know, in that sense, because I'm like, it's just the dialogue, the transparency, and yeah, he was the bridge, though, in that sense of me knowing that I could be an athlete in fighting. I had the heart, I had the tenacity and the will to be there. And once it wasn't tactical, like, I was like, oh, this is the place I need to be to hone my athleticism.
Yeah.
And it was great from there.
That's the old school coaching, right? That you get with a lot of local coaches, right?
Yeah, and I loved it. You know,
yeah.
I truly love it, and that's the thing. Like, I realize that I'm always, all the people that I look up to, they're men, especially my mentors, they all kind of just stay in their lane. They never change things up. They'll adjust and to the times, but they're always just staying in their lane. Like, my dad, Darren, my grandmaster, all these people that were a big factor in my life and my career. Yeah. Like, we're just men that literally just stayed in their lane. They never wanted more. They never took more from people. They just was like, you know, and I really, really appreciate that. And they're still close with me to this day, even as not an athlete, but family.
Right. Yeah. And it's just, you know, the growth as a man.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
Take me to the moment you got the call to join the UFC. That opportunity came along.
It was just like, what happened was I was fighting in Strikeforce prior to UFC, and then UFC bought Strikeforce out.
Okay.
So it was just a merger more in that sense of like, oh, I gonna get into you, or they gonna keep me. I'm in UFC now, so it really didn't dwell on me in the sense of like, oh, I'm in UFC, because I was just on this. I was on the path of representing Hawaii. Like I'm like, oh, I'm out of Hawaii. Didn't matter what. I didn't want to put on. I need to be in UFC. I was like, no, I need to represent Hawaii first. Where I need to be is where I'm going to be.
Yeah.
And that will end up where it is in this. Like, so that's one thing I always tell people. Like some guys is just like, oh, I just want to make that walk. Like, I just want to make that walk in UFC, and that's a dream for them. And I was like, dang, like, I never felt like that. Like, I just wanted to be happy. Like, I didn't just, if I was happy and I knew I could commit, I was gonna be where I wanted to be, you know, like, and if not, then it didn't add up, you know. So I guess my expectations was more selfish than I need to be here. I'm just, no, where am I at right now, and how are you feeling? That's, I think, what drove me. Yeah.
How chicken skin was that first walk?
It was everything, because I was just like, I effing belong here. You know what I mean? Like, I remember walking in, and then there's UFC does a different walk. You know, you do a walkthrough, and it's like, you know, and it's just like the music came on, everybody's just rah, and I'm like, I belong here, bro. Yeah. This is me. Like, yeah, and yeah, just it was organic. Like, I really do love entertaining people, however that is, whether that's fighting or meeting them on a personal level and just being there. So yeah, it was great to know that, like, it's dope to be, it's really, really inspiring and admirable to be admired like that, for just something to be happy. You just wanted to be happy for.
And did you get that feeling that you were looking for after starting off fighting Hawaii guys, and you said, you know what, I want to be done, I want to, you know, move up? And so when you get into the UFC, you know, after the Strikeforce merger, did you feel that sense of like, okay, you know, the competition level is different?
Yeah.
And just all of that from a professional standpoint?
Yeah, well, in that sense, it's like, now the hard work begins.
Yeah.
I wasn't like, oh, I made it. I'm like, nah, it's easy to make it into things. It's hard to stay there, especially if it's a growing company and it's moving really fast. Like, it's easy to get places, but it's really hard to stay there. And I was a kid. Now it's really, like, I really got to grind, and I got to go and, like, look for more coaching or look for more things to build my, you know.
Did you move to the mainland?
No, I kind of did. I stayed up in Stockton with Nick and Nate Diaz from time to time. I wasn't necessarily living there for a long time. It would be a month or two.
Oh, so you'd have camp
come back. Yeah, and I kept camping there, or throughout the year I would just be going back and forth for the months. So it's kind of like my second home, but I wasn't like necessarily living there. I was, but I wasn't.
How was it training with the Diaz's?
Oh, it's the best. You know, they're local boys. They just ain't got beaches in Stockton. You know, like, they're literally local boys. Like, they taught me how to be martial artists, and they taught me how to be real individuals in their environment. You know, like, one of the biggest things that, like, Nate taught me was, he cornered me in a fight, and he was like, I won the fight, and right after the fight, he's walking me to the cage, and he's like, hey, make sure you rep Hawaii. You make sure you show where you're from. Like, he didn't need to say, oh, rep our gym, rep Stockton. Like, he knew what I was about, and he knew what I wanted, you know. And he was like, hey, you make sure you put them on the map, like, because he has that respect and love for me too.
I remember, you know, the last interview I did with you was in 2010. It was you and Max came here. That was around a time when it was you, Max, Brad Tavares, were all getting on UFC cards.
Yeah.
And so, because you had such high local representation, did you feel like, and you and the other guys feel kind of like an added kuleana to represent the state? And, you know, it's just like even more so, just like, you know, we really need to bring that?
Honestly, I didn't really feel that pressure. I felt that it was more of an opportunity. So when the pressure, I was like, I got everything to gain and nothing to lose because I have this support. So the pressure was just show up and do what you gotta do, and like that's what I was ready for, because I just knew, like, even when I went into UFC, they gave me a guy that show what you got, Jans, because this guy's supposed to win. You know what I mean? Like, they put me in that predicament, and unfortunately I lost because I broke my thumb. So you doctor stoppage, and that was my first loss, like, in sense, like, where I felt I could continue, but I never broke anything. especially during a fight. So I thought it was like lethal weapon. You're gonna go in, just put it back in, and then we're going right back out because it didn't hurt. You know, it's literally just dislocated. But that's what I got to learn, you know, and I'm like, dang, that was my first loss, and I still felt like I could continue. But hey, that life is life, man. Yeah.
From the outside looking in, it seems that the UFC is ruthless. Just in terms of a business standpoint, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, hey, if you lose this fight, you know, it's a career changer.
Mm-hmm.
How cutthroat did you find the promotion was?
Business is business, yeah, in that sense, and you know what you gotta sign up for. Like some people, they'll tell me like, you know, they say, oh, you need to get paid more, and you know this and this, and I'm like, yeah, I do feel that way, but I know what I signed.
Right.
I'm the one that stepped on the scale. I'm the one that walked in the cage. So why? I'm the one that signed the contract. Why am I gonna complain about what I signed up for? Like, you know, and it is cutthroat, but it is a business, and I always took it that way. Like, I realized that like, no matter how like good you are, if the eyes aren't on you, then you know, business wise, they don't want you. And fortunately for me, like, they liked me.
Yeah.
UFC liked me so much, like they gave me a fight nickname or alias. I never even had one, you know. Like I was like, I ain't giving myself no nickname, and it was the Kid. And I always wondered why, like, why the Kid? I'm like, oh, I see now.
How'd you like it?
Oh, I love it because, you know, that's like the world's most natural resource,
Right.
you know, kids. They're pure, right? Like, they don't know anything. They don't know evil. They don't know how to be, they don't know, like, they learn all those things.
Right.
So that's like, in my 20s, I was like, Kid, what is that? And in my 30s, I was like, that's cool because I'm getting old.
Hey,
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm in my mid-30s. I'm like, you
Yeah,
know what?
yeah.
I you know, to be called the Kid, I'll
Yeah.
take that compliment.
Oh, man. Oh, I love it. I love it, right? And I was telling my kids, my daughters is like, why do you act like you're 5? I'm like, excuse me, it's 12, okay?
Right.
So stop. Like, oh, it's 12. Like, she's just a great, I just have that. I think that's what it was with UFC. Like, it's so cutthroat, but I was able to live a kid-like environment.
Yeah.
Everybody that inside, all the office workers, like that, I was sure to make them see, like,
Right.
I wasn't a fighter, I was still Yancy. I would bring them macadamia nuts, and like, it was something I always just did because that's what our culture did.
Right.
I was made sure that like everything I do inside the gym and inside the cage, like, it has to translate outside. Like, you know, I'm not gonna be a good person if, no matter how good of a fighter I am outside, and I treat everything outside like or I don't treat it good. So that's something I'm really like adamant about, like, especially with my kids. Like, I don't care how good you play or how good you commit. I mean, how good you are. I care how much you commit, how you work, and how off the field, how are you as a person. Like, that's what I feel like made me happy about where I am with my career.
Is that from your upbringing? Does that kind of perspective come from, you know, you learn from your parents or from your coaches growing up?
I think it's just everything. Like, I think the biggest one was me being a parent this last year, having another kid. From my first one to 19, and then 19 years ago to now, it's like, oh, it's like a fight. Like, you can look at every fight, and every fight I want to get better. I think kids should be the same. You know, as a parent, like, you should want to be better. You have your first one, okay? Oh, there's the rough draft. Okay, what's the next one? And then, you know, and like, that's what it is, mindful. Like, I kind of translate that part of my career too now with parenting, because I was so selfish with myself and wanting to build me. But now I have more than me. Yep. I don't just have a kid. I have a family. Yep. So it's great. The martial arts in my career really made me focus and be disciplined on what I want to be disciplined in.
Yep. No, I totally understand.
Yeah.
And just being a parent, just so many different things change. You're in a completely new arena.
Yeah.
And you realize that
yeah.
you're living for something much greater than yourself.
Yeah, like, I just think so differently now, because I mean, I had a kid at 19, but I'm not the man I was 19 years. I'm just such a different, everything's different. I think different. I drive different. I'm like, oh my God, my baby. Like, you know, like, before I'm like, yeah, I'll just go. I'll skydive, and, you know, all these things. You want to skydive? Nope. You want tattoos? Nope.
Yep.
I'm not in that phase anymore.
Yep.
Like, you know, and it's just, it's great though, because I got to ride that, and now I'm like at this stage, and my career really did help me focus on what really needs to be done at home.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because I was happy through my whole career. I was so happy, and like now I'm like happy in this chapter too. And that's the biggest thing. Like it helped me. How do you still remain happy with what you have?
Yep, precisely. Could you move a little closer to the microphone?
Sorry about that, man.
And then the how's our framing? It's good. Okay. And then so something I want to move to is you're in the middle of the UFC. How gnarly did you? I mean, because you hear just some of the horror stories some of these guys have to go through, right?
Yeah,
in terms of overcoming injuries. You have the broken thumb in the middle of the fight, dislocated. Did you have a gnarly weight cut story?
Yeah. I mean, a lot. There was a lot. There was actually two. When I had to fight Yves Edwards, that one I had a weight. That was my second time in my second fight in UFC, and I thought I wasn't gonna make weight. Just for whatever reason that was, like, it just like things wasn't going the way it did the last weight cut, and I was just like, dang, like I'm gonna miss weight, and for some miracle, like I made weight in the next 2-3 hours. I cut off the point. I don't know what happened, but I made weight, and I was happy, and I was like, dang, like I ain't gonna go through that again, and I lied, and I went through that again, like maybe three fights or 2 fights after that. I fought Dustin Poirier, and I couldn't make weight, and I was actually 6
That was the headlining fight, right? That was the main event.
I wasn't headlining that one. We were on the main card, but we weren't like the headline.
Okay.
But that one, we was in Louisiana for that fight, and I remember missing weight and how it affected me mentally.
For the rest of the fight.
Well, not just for prior to the fight, because I just felt like, you know, that's part of your job. Like, you're a professional, you're supposed to make weight. And I couldn't get past, like, not being able to do it. So I was like, I got to call Dustin. You know what I mean? And I was like, I got to go to his room. I went to his room, and I was like, apologized to him. I'm like, hey, bro, I'm sorry. I'm not making weight. You know, in a sense, and valid. However he feels is valid. You're right, because I'm the one that's not making weight here. And he was just like, yeah, let's just make it work. We got this, bro. His coach was pissed, and I totally get it, you know, and I just was glad that I could get that off my chest. But it still bothered me. So even through the whole night, I'm just like, you know, I'm thinking about it, and there's no excuses for what it is, but it did affect me mentally and emotionally on how I thought, you know, and maybe that part is why I never missed weight again, too. I was like, because I was just messed up here, and I'm like, not being professional. I couldn't get past that hump of, like, you know, locking in, I guess.
When does the weight cutting process start? Because we see, you know, the guys step on the scale, and you hear stories of guys, you know, working out beforehand or use the curtain. You got to take everything off. What is it start? Like, I mean, I know you're always supposed to be.
You break it down. We break it down. We try and break it down in a nice gradual process. And before it would be, fight the week of. Like, nah, when you're cutting 20, 30 pounds and you're cutting, like, you want to do that in a safe process. So that's where, like, when you're younger, 20, you can lose your 20 in 2-3 days, 20 pounds, you know. But then as you get older and you keep repeating these process, like, it's only so much of your body goes, no, bro, that's done. You're not doing it like that. So you end up training and learning your body, so everybody has a different way to do their cuts, you know. And like for me, it's like I can't tell anybody how to drop 20-30 pounds if they're gonna do it, but I just know that you can't whine if you got a 10-pound cut, bro. Welcome to the big league, you know.
As you got older, did you find yourself staying closer to fighting weight all the time?
Yeah.
Camp or not?
Well, I mean, I'd always like, I love to eat, so I was always gaining weight, so like, I'm always usually 25, 30 pounds over my weight already, on that weight cut. So as I got older, I just wanted to fight higher. You know, instead of fighting 155, I wanted, let's fight 170, you know, and I tried to negotiate that with the promoters and whatnot, in sense.
It seems like Max went through that recently.
Yeah, as you get older, you just, like, it's hard to just keep doing these cuts. Like, we're not meant to be cutting 20. Your body's not meant to even be fighting and taking on that damage.
Yeah.
But you get older, your body's like, not going through this stress. That's too much. It's detrimental to you. It's damaging, you know, and it's like, you got to do what's healthiest for you. So that's why I think moving up in weight is always a good thing for such the dramatic weight cuts.
Yeah. what are you doing the day before or day of? I mean, you just like on a treadmill or?
Nah, I mean, we by that time we're trying to like suck out. I would say take all the water out of us as much as healthy as we can without being dehydrated because we have to go to sleep, wake up, and weigh in. So it's just a vicious cut. Like you're not no other sports besides, I mean, like wrestling, boxing, and like kickboxing, anything that weight cuts, like every other sport, you go in optimal. You know, no football player, basketball player, none of them is losing 10, even 5 pounds a day before they have to perform. And you know what I mean? So that's got to be broken down in the science. When you're young, we can do it. We're resilient. You can eat trash when you were 20s. Well, McDonald's, you can eat everything, and then that just doesn't last. And you have to start eating cleaner and better and better. So same thing with working out, especially recovery.
Yeah,
that's the biggest one.
No, well, take me inside your recovery.
Man, like, that's just that point. Like, if you're before, I would want to spar 4 or 5 times a week. I'm like, yeah, let's spar. I don't even want to drill, right? And now I'm like, nah, spar like maybe once, twice a month. You know, like, bro, like do jujitsu, because I can be all like soft and like so.
You can dictate the pace.
Or hold on for dear life because these guys are just too young now. You know, I'm not the young bull anymore. I'm not the bucking bull, and I'm the matador. And I'm like, I gotta make sure this. I gotta make sure these guys don't overwhelm me.
Weight cutting is a young man's game, it sounds like.
It is, but I mean, it's part of it. So I always try and implement the amateurs to get ready for that, because they complain about weight cuts, and I'm like, oh man, just wait.
I don't want to hear it.
Huh?
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
it's like you
by
don't want to hear from
example,
them.
they're like, oh, they talking about their losses. I'm like, bro, I was an undefeated amateur. My first loss I had was in UFC. My first loss. Okay, you don't need to cry. It's all right. Like, keep learning. It's all good. Like, it's cool though to see that chapter, because I'm not the young buck anymore. Yeah. I'm an uncle. I'm uncle status. I'm veteran status. And I'm like, oh wow, I get to see that, like and I forget, because I'll be training at Tactical at times, and I'm like trying to talk to these high school, college kids, and I'm like, and then they're like, whoa, uncle, and I'm like, oh yeah, bro, you're 30, you're over 30, you're not a kid like them. They're not gonna talk to you like a kid, and I forget, because I'm always trying to be kid-like.
And then you show them something, right? And it's
uncle. Well, I mean, if they're willing, I ain't gonna just go and grab them without their consent, but yeah, I definitely want to put them in their place if they need to be put there.
What was the transition to Bellator like for you?
Simple.
Yeah.
Simple. Mike Hogan, Scott Coker, he hit me up. And, Mike Hogan's a real good friend of mine, and he was the matchmaker. He's the matchmaker of PFL, and he made the transition real simple. And at that time too, I was being managed by Jason House, so it was kind of just an easy transition in that sense. Mm-hmm. And he was just a homie watching out. He's like, hey, we're gonna have some fights here. Want to make some money? Want to represent? I'm like, yes, sir.
Nice.
And then put me on that platform.
Nice. And it also, too, did you sense that it was a different stage in your career? When you entered the Bellator rankings? And
yeah, well, when I went into Bellator, too, I was just like, after I got released from UFC, there was like, Brian, what you going to do? I was like, fight? Like, I don't know. Like, I didn't really put much thought into, what's happening next with me. I'm like, I want to fight. I'm going to train. I'm going to wake up and I have to go to the gym and train, because even if I want to fight, I have to train to do that. So then Bellator came in. So I wasn't trying to like, I got to do this and got to do that. And I was fortunate enough that like my friends like Mike Hogan then reach out and say, hey, like, kept it organic. Yeah, kept it organic.
What's training like for you now? I mean, although, you're on a hiatus here, to be an uncle status now has to help.
Well, I mean, I still train. I just haven't been training like MMA. Like, I still try and stay fit and, keep up with myself and my kids. I just haven't been like actively training Monday through Friday or Monday through Saturday in the gyms every day. So, but it's been good. I think the biggest thing was being an involved parent. That's a really, really big one that I'm going through. After I had a loss in September last year, and that was my last fight, and I was like, came home and I was like, I really gotta make sure and show my kids that nothing changes. Life still goes on, because they've seen me through these wins, But then now they see me on a loss, and then there's like, oh, like nothing's not, you know, you can work hard as you like, and like sometimes things just don't work out your way.
Yeah.
That's life, you know. And I only got girls, so like for me, it's like the two things I need to show them is like in life, like you're gonna have to work hard and you gotta be strong. Like that's what life's gonna give you, and for that's the things like I had to show them, and I gotta like nothing's wrong, you know, like everything is how it's supposed to be. Dad's all right.
Yeah.
You know, like dad's happy. Like you are the reason I can do these things, or I strive to do these things. You the reason why I wake up and go train or go to work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I want to show them that without telling them. You know, just like lead by that. Like, oh, you know, like not because he did all this regularly, he's all sad or he's in his feels. Like, yeah, I'm in my feels, but I do that on my own time. You know, like that's something that I knew I signed up for. So for me, it's how do I show my kids like a good life through what I've been through.
And with your oldest being 19 and your youngest being 1 year old, it's, you know, a wide range of lessons you get to impart on them, right?
Yeah, because I realized, like, now that I have a 1 year old, how much I lacked with my 19-year-old, and it makes me want to, like, do better with her and everyone in between. So it's like, my middle kids, they thought, like, because we had a 1 year old, we're like, oh, you're not going to get paid attention, and I doubled down on them, like, oh, you thought we're just going to put all this time into baby, right, because she needs that. No, I'm here with you guys, too, and I was adamant about doing that, especially after, I lost, or I had a situation that really didn't go my way. Mm-hmm. I was really adamant about showing my kids that, like, life goes on, and you need to be, like, find your purpose and be happy.
Did you find that having, you know, the 1 year old, having an infant in your house now, it's like almost like rejuvenated you?
Yeah, I get to, you just realize now that you get to live your life in your kids.
Yeah.
Right? You see you in them, and that's why you're so insecure. You know, all these parents have their ways of raising their kids, and that's the biggest thing. Like, I show my kids, like, I never strive to be famous, and I won't ever strive to live vicariously through you. I got to live all my dreams, my childhood dreams, being a video game, fighting the kumite, blood sport, like, and I did it with being happy, not having sacrifices where I was mad or, you know, like, I just wanted to be happy, and, like, that's the things, like, very adamant about showing my kids that, like, you don't need to be famous to be happy, you know, you can work hard and be strong and be a good person.
You don't need to sacrifice character, too, right? You don't need to become a different person.
No, I have to make sure that, like, the Yancy outside is the same Yancy inside. Like, you know, I'm not gonna be a different parent. Like, they're not gonna see, like, I'm consistent. You see, you know, like, how can I be this person like this, and inside I can't even be like this with my own daughters, or my own, you know, my partner. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't want to live that type of life. You know?
One of the things that really jumps out to us is your work, you know, with the West Oahu community.
Yeah.
You know, we've done a number of stories on just kind of the increase in gang violence, or you see some of the social media bullying, but you have been, you know, one of the pioneers on the forefront of kind of, and being very vocal about speaking out against this. What is the message you want to share with these kids?
I think that the message I want to share is, like, the kids that are going through that, like, the adults, like, as adults, like, the kids don't need to be judged. They need to be helped. You know, they don't need judgment. They need help. And, you know, like, why wasn't I a kid gang banging on the streets? Because I was gonna get lickings and came home to an adult that kept me accountable for those actions. And these kids aren't being kept accountable for their actions, and that's not their fault. It's the environment. It's the people around them. It's the people that they look up to. Like, that's something, like, I'm trying to work towards, in the sense of, like, one of these coaches asked me, like, why these kids have all this talent in all these sports and fighting, especially on the west side or all these low income areas, have all this and they seem to fall out after. It's like, you know, there's one-offs, you know, and they have bad, but then most of it is because there's no adults there. And I'm trying to I want to build something like that, like some type of mentorship or some type of thing where, like, less underprivileged kids need better guidance or need somebody to, like, look up to, you know. Like, I looked up to my dad, and I love my dad, but I also respected all the adults around me. That's what I learned to do. I loved them, and I also respected them, and I think these kids just have to learn that part, how to love and how to be respected. These kids just don't got that. I was loved and respected, so I wanted to give that back. I feel like these kids that are doing that, they don't have those things. They don't have people leading by that example. And I think it starts at home. You know, it starts really at home. Like, how do I be better with my kids? And then I can start helping these kids. And that's how it started, because I wanted to be a better parent. Yeah. I went, oh, look at all these kids, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, all these adults is pointing fingers at kids and judging kids. And, you know, I'm like, oh, dang, like, I can point at them, but how am I as a parent myself? Right. You know, like, are you a good parent? I wouldn't know. I got to ask my kids. You got to ask my kids that. Right? And that's the things I think about when I see kids in YNI and all that. We just need to build, like, the adults got to get together. We got to build something for them to be better. Like, you know, when the communities has better communication and is more close-knit, you don't like upset auntie and uncle, because you know them on a personal level. Like, everybody know everybody. You can walk on the street. You're like, oh, I'm not going to go in. You know, you just have respect. Yeah, and I think that's what I want. We have to start building, yeah. And it starts at home. And slowly perpetuates.
Yeah, and it's also, you know, the environment that you want to raise your family into, right?
Yeah.
It's like, you know, you want to make sure that they're surrounded by good people. They'll always be taken care of. Yeah. That guidance, right?
Mine's simple. Like, my family, work hard, then have fun.
Yeah.
Hey, wake up, do some work, and then let's have fun all day after, you know? And I think that part, like, helps build a good foundation, knowing how to work hard in something and then having fun with each other. And you know how to do that in the community too. I'll work hard and have fun with each other. And trying to start that at home and then slowly venture that off.
That's the recipe right there.
Yeah. So as long as my kids, they know when we go beach, hey, I down the bucket, go pick up 50 pieces of trash. Go on the beach, hey, you too, go. And they go, right, and they come back and we're work hard first. Now we're going to have fun. Like, I hope maybe some parents see that, oh, wow, these kids are just trying to clean the beach up, you know, and then go have fun. Like, always try to lead that way. You know, and I don't expect anybody else to do that or judge anyone else for not doing that. But if I want the change, you be the change you want to see. Yes. Right? I go to the beaches and I see all this dirty rubbish and I'm so annoyed with it. Pick it up, bro. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, oh, it's going to keep coming. Well, then go to another beach if you don't want to look at it and judge other people, right? And if it's that annoying to me, I got my kids to help me do this too.
Right.
And that's what we do. And they know. They're like, oh, man, we're going to go grandpa's house. Yup. And we're going to clean yard. We're going to go clean yard. And, you know, that's the things you teach these kids and teach them responsibility and love and learn to work hard. And then they don't want to be outside doing reckless things. They want to be loved. They don't want to be distracted. Kids want to be included.
Right. They feel that sense of connectivity, right? And they feel that sense of community right there. Yeah. What's your outlook on just, you know, yourself, Max, you know, have inspired a lot of young kids to want to be part of, you know, the MMA scene. And what is your outlook on kind of just the future of Hawaii fighters? You know, also Ilima, Rachel as well. You know, just kind of what's the future? What is your outlook of what the future brings?
I mean, it's growing. They're starting younger. You know, a bunch of kids are they're already like 9th grade, 10th grade, and they're telling me like, bro, uncle, I'm going into there's like I'm getting the name mixed up, but there's like already a college that gives scholarships for MMA. You know, and I think there a couple of the Hawaii boys are already going there and doing that. So it's just growing. And for me, like, all I care about is the kids' safety. So I would train a couple of my nephews and all that throughout these last years, and they're like, oh, uncle, and mind you, they watch anime and you know what I mean? They watch anime and they don't play any sport. So working with them for a month, and then they're like, oh, uncle, I like start sparring, right? And I'm like, wow, they got like this confidence, you know? They're building this confidence, and then they're like, okay, guys, now you guys sparring, and you guys still never get headgear, still never get mouthpiece. Now you guys kind of spar and do headshots, and they're all mad. I go, yeah, because I don't care if you guys can fight good and you guys are tough. Right. You guys have a life to live. You guys got to go home to your parents. You guys have to do things in life. Like, just because you be tough and have a hard sparring doesn't mean we're going to get anywhere. You're tough. Right. We're training right now. Right. And I wish I learned that earlier, you know, like being tough doesn't necessarily mean you're good. Hard sparring doesn't necessarily mean that you're a good fighter. Right. And you're not going to let them just tee off on each other. Bare knuckle, no gear. Right. Like, I'm very adamant. My daughters play soccer, and I see the passion that parents have for their kids. You know, I see the passion. I mean, they're very passionate about their kids winning and being there and being involved. And there's a lot of things where I'm like, I have all that passion, but I'm not living vicariously through my kid. Like, there's a point in my time, I'm like, I look at my kid, I go, why do I want you to be better at this? If you know what I mean, right? You want to play soccer, why do I want you to be better at this? How come you not wanting this? If that's the case, then we don't need to play.
Right.
Right? Like, but if you want to get better, I'm going to show you every avenue you need to go through, because I know what hard work is and I know where to take you, but you have to show me that.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think that's the life lessons, you know, for my kids. Like, I'm not going to push them through the door. I'll show them and lead by example in that sense, but you want this, love? Here it is. And this is the way we're going to go, and I'll keep you accountable for that. That's it.
That's refreshing. You know, that's a refreshing perspective to have.
I think the biggest things that I grew with growing in my profession and parenting is learning how to fail. You know, we're so scared of failing, but that's part of the success and the growth. Like, you need to fail. Like, you need to, I know, like, failing is an event. It's not a person. You know what I mean? And that's what, when you fail, like, you still want it? How do you feel about this? You know, what are we going to do about it? Not regret it. Reflect on it. You know, yeah, sit with it. Like, sit with that failure. And how does it feel? Now, what are we going to do to make that better?
Would you feel that's something that a lot of people on the outside of fighting don't understand, is kind of just the lessons and the opportunities that can come from failure and just how much of an impact it could have?
Yeah, I think it's because naturally as humans, we just want to be safe, yeah, and that keeps us safe. And feeling a negative, like a failure, isn't something that's naturally like you want to accept, right? Like, and I think that's just the biggest part of like getting better at what you want. Like, that's gonna come with it. Success comes with failure. Like, failure isn't the opposite of success. It's content. When you're content, you know, like, you know what I mean? The graph is like that, right? It's not just. So that's the things like I've learned through my career that I'm able to, like, I want to put out to my kids and eventually like build something for the community in that sense. Like, have a place to learn that failing is okay, have a voice, you know, like things that I wasn't able to have as a kid. Didn't really have a voice, you know, you have to just listen and, you know what I mean? Like, no, have a voice, talk, don't be afraid to fail. Like, say what you gotta say, be truthful, you know, because that's what kids need. Kids need to learn, like, that life, you gotta be strong and you gotta work hard. Those are the things that's the two things you need to do in life, you know. You gotta be strong and you gotta work hard, because like I just feel that I was able to live a happy life with those two things, you know, and stay on that point of being happy. Like, my career never made me happy. My pursuit to happiness led me to fighting, led me to wanting to do martial arts. I just literally wanted to be happy in that sense, yeah.
Nice. I think that's full circle right there.
Yeah.
And that's the perfect way to close it out.
Nice.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Yancy Medeiros, our first ever guest on the Long Game podcast. We went deep, great conversations. Mahalo nui for doing this. It's just excellent perspective. And you can find this on the HNN streaming app and wherever you get your podcasts. Aloha.
Aloha.